What's going on, everyone? It's another episode of the WVSports.com podcast. I'm Wesley Shoemaker, joined by Keenan Cummings, and the Mountaineers fell to number 11 Iowa State on Saturday night in what was a big opportunity, another opportunity for them to get a marquee win, a signature win, something that they've craved, something that they just haven't really gotten in the 6 years under head coach Neil Brown. But after a great start, things just kind of went downhill. Iowa State took control in the second quarter and really never let West Virginia regain control of this game. So, Keenan, Mountaineers lose 28-16. What are your overall thoughts on this one?
It's become an all too familiar formula. West Virginia had a chance early in this game to really see some momentum, really kind of build. It was a beautiful opening drive by West Virginia. 75-play drive. They looked very good, made some critical third downs. It looked really, really good. They had Iowa State off balance, ate up a lot of clock. You get the ball back after a missed field goal. You think you get a first down, on a pass to Rodney Gallagher. Turns out he dropped it. You take forever to get up to the line. It's reviewed. Then you miss a 36-yard field goal, which is the first time that Michael Hayes has missed a field goal under 40 yards since he's been here at West Virginia. So that sequence is just kind of
3 plays later is the 60-yard touchdown from Iowa State going down the other way.
That sequence is kind of a microcosm for the last 6 years in a sense. West Virginia makes a mistake that kills their own momentum, has a mistake on defense, and instead of it being 14-0 or 10-0 at worst, it's a 7-7 game, and Iowa State has stolen back all the momentum. And, you can point to these small mistakes, these issues that crop up, but when it keeps happening over and over and over again, you have to kind of look in the mirror, and it's different players, different teams, and you can sense the frustration, with people across the fan base. I think Neil was frustrated last night in his post game. He kind of a little snippy with some of the question answers last night, but I think that's where we're at. This is a 3-3 team. West Virginia's largely played 500 football since Neil Brown's been here, and here we are with, the competitive roster, talented roster, setting at 3-3 and still no marquee win. West Virginia's 3-16 against ranked teams. They've 6 straight double-digit losses to ranked teams. 2 times at home this year. You have an opportunity, and we can keep saying this as much as we want, but at some point you got to go out and do something with it. It's only an opportunity if you can take advantage of it, and that's been the issue. West Virginia has not been able to take advantage of these situations.
Yeah, and even in the second half there, I think there was another opportunity, as you said. The defense gets 2 stops to start the quarter, and then we look at each other and we're like, well, the offense is going to have to do something here if they really want to get back in the game. And sure enough, they're driving. Garrett makes a really good play on the high snap that just hits his hand, and he scrambles for about 20 yards, and they're getting some momentum there, and then all of a sudden it's an interception. And then it's just you never really had a chance from that point on, because you can't give a team that's as good as Iowa State as many opportunities from your miscues as you did. And whether it be the missed field goal, the 2 interceptions, they were just handing the Cyclones opportunities, and credit to them, they did take advantage of them. That's a good football team, but there is no reason why West Virginia should have lost by the margin they did, because they were in that game early. They controlled that first quarter. I don't think they really could have imagined a better first quarter with the way things went, but then all of a sudden it was just one mistake leads to a bad second quarter for the most part. They get on the board late, and then in the third quarter, the defense shows up, and I think there was that lack of cohesion, lack of consistency, where I know you said this to me of the offense can do something well, the defense can't. But when the defense does something well, the offense can't return the favor. And so that's the most frustrating thing of it, is you see these spurts of good from both sides of the ball, but there's never really that our whole team plays well together. And here we are yet again, 3-3, 2-1 in Big 12 play, and it doesn't get any easier this week because you have another ranked team coming into town.
Yeah, and I think the thing that is frustrating for so many people right now when you're looking at this from a big picture viewpoint is I didn't walk away feeling that Iowa State was a superior football team to West Virginia last night. I think that Iowa State was better. They didn't make mistakes, but that's the point. Iowa State didn't beat themselves, and West Virginia did. They had 2 turnovers. One of them was a short field. It was pretty much directly led to 7 points for Iowa State. The other one was just a mistake by a senior quarterback, but 2 turnovers. Iowa State scored 14 points off those turnovers. The final score is 28-16. It's not hard to do the math. West Virginia with some critical penalties in the game, although I think that holding penalty was utterly ridiculous. Yeah, I don't comment on officiating very often, but that flag not only was late, it was after he was throwing the ball to the back of the end zone. I understand that holding doesn't matter, but that was I kind of sided with Neil there, but officiating didn't cost them the game. They had multiple opportunities to take advantage of it, and unfortunately, that's become kind of the calling card of this team. As someone posted something on the message board earlier today, what if Rodney Gallagher catches that pass and West Virginia goes in and goes up 14-0? Yeah, I mean, that's a scenario that could have happened. But the problem is we're asking ourselves these questions seemingly every time West Virginia loses a football game. And after a while, that is, you got to take ownership from the top down. And I think that's a problem, and it's been a problem. And as I said, it's been something that spanned, 6 years, and at some point you got to get some of that stuff corrected, because this isn't a good enough football team if they're going to beat themselves. It's just not. Their method to winning is running the football and playing sound, and they didn't do that last night, and Iowa State got them.
Yeah, running the football and playing sound. It's hard to run the football when there was a lot of, let's just say, poor snaps from Brandon Yates. Obviously, Neil said he was dealing with a hand issue, but the timing of a lot of plays were just messed up from the beginning because of the snaps. It's hard to say that contributed to a lot of their struggles in the run game, especially there in the second half. But after the first drive, West Virginia just really never ran the ball the same, it felt like. I think there was a lot of things that we just looked at it and we're kind of like, what was that? What were they trying to do there? And it kind of starts with the snaps with a lot of these timings, because they have a lot of timing in place. And when you can't get that down to the correct science form of you need this person at this place at this time, this ball here, like it really starts to mess things up. But CJ Donaldson didn't run the ball great. He had 9 carries for 17 yards. Jaheim White with 12 for 46. So I know you and me, we said they're going to have to run the ball. And we talked about them before this game about Iowa State and how they've somewhat struggled to stop the run this year. And West Virginia really couldn't get anything going besides Garrett Green. And Iowa State did do a good job for the most part of getting eyes on Green. I know there were times where he wanted to scramble and he just couldn't because there were 2-3 guys waiting for him. There are other times, though, where he did make plays. But, yeah, senior quarterback who throws 2 interceptions. And, I mean, the second one, it just made no sense why he threw that ball. And
he just forced it. I mean, and you can't have a senior. I understand his thought process. He's trying to make a play. They had just given up. They're right in the game. After that call, they're down now. They're trying to make a play. I understand his thought process, but you can't have a senior quarterback do that. You just can't. I mean, I didn't get a good view of the first interception. Now that I watched that, I do understand what Neil was talking about. Definitely, I thought it was a miscommunication. It definitely looked like Cole just got blown off the ball.
Because in the moment, I was like, what the heck? It seemed like he just totally didn't see the defender and just threw it right to the defender is what it seemed like. But but then for sure after the fact, you can kind of see that Neil had a point.
Yeah. I mean, but the problem is, again, like, even if he does, the thing that sticks with the fan base right now is any way you slice it, it just comes across as, it's not going to resonate with people. They're sick of hearing about it. There are bad calls in games, and I don't think Neil intends it that way at all. If anything, I will say Neil's entire tenure, I appreciate the fact he's a straight shooter. For the most part, he pretty much tells you how it is, and whether good or bad, he does a good job getting ahead of our questions a lot. Coming into press conferences, but in the end, it's just falling on deaf ears for a lot of people, because you got to win football games, and I keep repeating this, but it's true. We're in year 6 now. You shouldn't be having these excuses, and I understand every year is different in the transfer portal era, but this team was built up by the coaching staff, not necessarily, we weren't out there watching practice every day saying a lot of the things that were said, and you're 3-3. And I do think there's potential. I don't think that this loss dooms the season. If you get another chance at home this week, against Kansas State at night, winning doesn't cure the fact you've lost 3 games, but I know some people are going to roll their eyes, but West Virginia's the 3 teams they've lost to are 18-0.
And all ranked.
Yeah, 18-0 and
And
all
two
ranked.
and two could probably be in the top 10 tomorrow.
Yeah, now granted, you could make a strong argument West Virginia should have had at least one of those wins and had a chance yesterday, and that's the problem. But they've lost to good football teams, but the problem and the frustration and whatever you want to call it mounts from they continue to do these things to beat themselves. And I'm not taking anything away from Iowa State. They're just as good as I thought they were on defense. They make you earn everything, and I think that's difficult for West Virginia at times, especially when they did not run the football well with the running backs last night. They didn't have one carry over 10 yards. Longest one was 9 yards. Their best play was Garrett making plays with his feet. One of them off one of those snaps, and the snap you mentioned it earlier. The snaps were just put the offense out of rhythm the whole game. It was really hard to run the ball when the snap's high or off. And I thought it was interesting that Neil said that they considered putting Livingston in the game earlier because Yates has a hand issue, which makes sense. I thought it was maybe because the nose guard was affecting him, but no, it makes sense now why he was a little bit off on those snaps. But they just continue to do things that good football teams can't do. And, here you are again, get a good game at home, and you're out of it, midway through the fourth quarter.
Yeah, and the thing that you kind of said there, which stands out to me, is you these good teams, and you're losing these good teams. But for it being your 6th year under a head coach, I think the frustration also stems from when will West Virginia be that good team? When will they finally get to be that team that people hunt? Because truth be told, they have not even come close to being that good team under Neil Brown. Last year, they had 9 wins, but there was never a time like that Oklahoma game last year. You could tell there was still that gap. You could tell there was still that difference of where West Virginia has to get to. And then they were promised all these things, fans were, in this offseason of look how good this team can be. We've got a lot of guys from the transfer portal on defense. We return a lot on offense. This is going to be the team. And we're sitting through half the season here, and they're 3-3. And they've lost.
They haven't beaten a ranked team in over 1,000 days.
Yeah, since 2020. And then
it's almost 3 calendar years.
Yeah.
I mean, that's
by the end of the month, it'll be. Yeah.
Yeah. And you can change that. Hopefully, West
Virginia can change that.
You got another game at home. And I think you look back at this regime, it used to be really hard to win in Morgantown at night. It didn't happen very often, and it's just not been the case. And I think that
I wrote this on the board earlier this week. I think entering last night, since the start of Neil Brown's era, West Virginia was 10-9 in total in night games under him. And
some of those are FCS games.
Yeah, because they usually have the FCS game every year at night. Yep.
Yeah, if you throw those out, it's probably not nearly that pretty. But what do we do from here? Where do we go from here? We can sit here and discuss this game, what went wrong. It really comes down to turnovers and penalties to me. Lack of execution in certain times, and that again is a reoccurring issue. Where do we go from here? That's the question to me. This team's 3-3. They got another chance at home against Kansas State. I'm not going to sit here and belabor this point because we've been here, we've done this. It's either put up or shut up at this point. West Virginia's got to find a way to beat a good team. And yeah, Oklahoma State's a solid team, but you find a way to beat a ranked team. If you want people to buy into what you're doing, you've got to show them that you can do it. And I think we're at that point right now with Neil Brown and the fan base. And this isn't me speaking. I'm necessarily speaking for a lot of the frustration I see from people, but I understand it. I understand it. And I completely get why people are just, I ask people on Twitter, X, whatever you want to, I'll always call it Twitter, before the game, I think it was yesterday or the day before, what's your prediction? And I was kind of shocked by how many people basically said, West Virginia can't win these games. They haven't been able to win these games under Neil Brown. They got momentum, they can't, but they're not going to be able to do it. Turns out those people were right. So that's a problem. That's a problem that those people are right. And you got to find a way to change that.
Yeah, I just think that it's until you do it, why would anyone believe that you can? Because they have not proven once that they can beat a good team. And so
And a lot of it's self-inflicted.
Yes, 100%. There's never a time where West Virginia seems to play their best game and they just get beat by a good team. It's always West Virginia has the opportunity to take control of a game against a good team or to have a big play that can kind of get them back in the game, and they can never fully complete it. And I think that's the frustration is you're never seeing West Virginia's best product when they play these good teams. And while some of that has to do with the competition because you're playing a better team, at some point, when is it going to be enough? When is it going to be that they can either just do it or you realize that it's never going to be done? And I think that's the frustration of these fans is like they seem to be close, but at what point are you just getting so close, but you're never going to be able to get over that hump?
And I think we'll leave it there. I think we'll dive into Kansas State, here in a couple days and really kind of dissect a little bit more of what happened here. But this is more of a reflection type deal because we're here at a crossroads, really, I feel like, at this season.
But the opportunity is still there. Like
it is. I mean, they're 2-1. I just mentioned they've lost to 18-0 are the teams that they've played. And we can argue how inflated those 18-0 that 18.
And they don't have another undefeated opponent on their schedule, Keenan.
No, so they have a chance. But people are tired of talking about chances. It really is time to prove it, and I think that's where we're at.
Yep. So that'll do it for this episode of the WVSports.com podcast. All of our content from post-game reactions, post-game information is on our website. If you enjoyed this, maybe stick around, listen to another episode later in the week. We will be having a Kansas State preview and probably a little more rundown of this game about midweek, Wednesday, Thursday. And then Mountaineers, they head back home, and they are home again for another night game against another ranked team. So we'll see if we're having the same conversation 7 days from now, Keenan. But I'm Wesley Shoemaker, joined by Keenan Cummings. If you made it this far, we do appreciate you listening. And this is the WVSports.com podcast.